Welcome, true crime enthusiasts. Tonight on Explain That, we're unraveling one of the darkest and most heartbreaking cases of the past decade, the Lori Vallow-Daybell Saga. This is not just a story about missing children. It is about faith twisted into fanaticism, love turned to obsession, and a series of chilling deaths that left families broken and a nation horrified. Take a deep breath. This is going to be a difficult one. Chapter 1. The Perfect Mother? Before she was a national headline, Lori Vallow was a mother of 3, living what appeared to be a picture-perfect suburban life. Friends described her as vibrant, charming, and fiercely protective of her children. Colby Ryan, her oldest son, Tylee Ryan, a spirited, witty, and independent 16-year-old, and Joshua J.J. Vallow, a joyful 7-year-old with special needs whose boundless energy and love for others lit up every room. On the surface, Lori was the mom everyone admired, present at school events, devoted to her family, smiling in every photo. But behind closed doors, cracks were forming. Lori's fascination with religion wasn't new, but it had started to intensify in strange ways. She became obsessed with apocalyptic visions, prophecies of the end times, spiritual hierarchies, and a supposed divine mission that only she could fulfill. Friends noticed her increasingly cryptic language, and family was growing concerned. Chapter 2. The Shift Toward Darkness. In early 2019, Lori's 4th husband, Charles Vallow, began noticing disturbing changes. She began making bizarre claims about being a divine being sent to prepare the world for Christ's return. She said she could identify dark spirits and determine who was light and who was possessed. Even more alarming, she insisted Charles himself had become a zombie, his spirit replaced by something evil. Charles tried to get help. He contacted police, told family, and even filed for divorce. He was visibly shaken in a now infamous body cam recording where he told officers, "I'm afraid for my life. She thinks I'm not Charles anymore and she thinks I'm a zombie." He warned that Lori's beliefs were spiraling out of control. He feared she might hurt him, or worse, hurt the children. Chapter 3. Enter Chad Daybell. Lori's descent into radical belief accelerated dramatically when she met Chad Daybell. Chad, a quiet and unassuming man to the outside world, was an author of religious and doomsday-themed novels and operated a small publishing company. But behind the calm facade was a man who believed he had been chosen by God for a special purpose, a prophet of the end times. He claimed to receive visions, speak to spirits, and even see into the afterlife. He categorized people with a numerical light or dark rating, as if measuring their spiritual worth, a system Lori quickly adopted. They met at a religious conference in 2018, and their connection was instant and intense. Lori told friends she believed they had been married in multiple past lives, and that their union was destined. Together, they believed they were the leaders of the 144,000 chosen souls who would survive the coming apocalypse. It was a dangerous delusion, and it justified them to do the unthinkable. They began labeling those closest to them, including Lori's own children, as zombies, soulless beings whose spirits had already died. Chapter 4. A Deadly Turning Point. In July 2019, Charles Vallow was shot and killed by Lori's brother, Alex Cox, in Chandler, Arizona. Alex told police it was self-defense, that Charles attacked him with a baseball bat during a family argument. But the circumstances surrounding the shooting were deeply suspicious. Lori's reaction was chilling. Within hours of Charles's death, she was seen smiling, laughing, and even joking with neighbors. That very night, she threw a pool party and ordered pizza as if nothing had happened. Investigators would later uncover evidence pointing to a conspiracy. Phone records, texts, and testimony revealed that Charles's killing was not an act of spontaneous defense, but a carefully planned murder, orchestrated by Lori and carried out by Alex, the loyal brother who would later also meet a mysterious end. Charles had tried to warn everyone. Now he was gone. Chapter 5. The Children Disappear. After Charles's death, Lori packed up and moved with Tylee and JJ to Rexburg, Idaho, a small quiet town where Chad Daybell lived. The two appeared to be drawing closer by the day. And then the children vanished. September 8, 2019. Tylee Ryan was last seen during a family trip to Yellowstone National Park. A smiling photo from that day would later be used in missing posters. It would be the last confirmed sighting of her alive. September 23, 2019. J.J. Vallow was last seen at Kennedy Elementary School in Rexburg. The next day, Lori unenrolled him and told the school she would be homeschooling him. After that, nothing. No calls, no messages, no sightings, nothing. Chapter 6. Fearing the worst. Concerned, JJ's grandparents, Kay and Larry Woodcock, repeatedly tried to reach their grandson. Calls went unanswered, messages were ignored. Every attempt to make contact was met with silence or lies. Worried sick, they contacted authorities. A missing persons investigation was opened. When police questioned Lori about the children's whereabouts, she claimed they were safe, but refused to provide proof. She and Chad then disappeared, fleeing to Hawaii, where they married just weeks after Chad's wife, Tammy Daybell, died mysteriously in her sleep. The nation watched in horror as the story unfolded. 2 children missing, a growing body count, and a mother with no answers, Chapter 7. The search for Tylee and JJ police quickly zeroed in on Lori and Chad. When asked where the children were, Lori offered bizarre, shifting explanations. They're safe. They're with a friend. You don't need to worry. But the grandparents refused to stop pressing for answers. By February 2020, Lori had been arrested in Hawaii on charges of child desertion and obstruction. She was ordered to return to Idaho, but she still refused to say where Tylee and JJ were. Chad stood by her side, calm, quiet, and disturbingly composed. Chapter 8. The Grim Discovery. On June 9, 2020, investigators executed a search warrant on Chad Daybell's property in Rexburg, Idaho. What they found ended any lingering hope. JJ's remains were buried near a tree, wrapped tightly in plastic and duct tape. Tylee's remains were found in a fire pit, burned and dismembered beyond recognition. The recovery team, hardened investigators, wept at the scene. The brutality of it all was almost unbearable. Chapter 9. Trials and Justice. The trials of Lori and Chad exposed their chilling beliefs. Witnesses testified that Lori called her own children dark and believed they had to die to fulfill God's plan. In May 2023, Lori was found guilty of the murders of Tylee and JJ and of conspiring to murder Tammy Daybell. She was sentenced to 5 life sentences without parole.
Jury selection began in the trial of Chad Daybell, the husband of Lori Vallow, the woman who was found guilty last year of murdering her 2 children in a so-called Doomsday plot.
This is a death penalty case, so they're also looking for people who might hesitate to write the name down of Chad Daybell in acknowledgement that he should get the death penalty.
Finally, in July 2025, Lori was convicted in Arizona for conspiring to murder Charles Vallow and attempting to murder Brandon Boudreaux, receiving 2 more life sentences. Chapter 10. The Fallout. For Colby Ryan, Lori's surviving son, the pain is immeasurable. He has spoken about the trauma of losing his siblings and the disbelief that his own mother was responsible. Tammy Daybell's children have expressed grief and anger at Chad's betrayal. And the Woodcocks, JJ's grandparents, continue to speak publicly to honor their grandson's memory. The Lori Vallow-Daybell case is more than a true crime story. It's a cautionary tale about how radical beliefs, unchecked, can lead to unspeakable violence. Tylee and JJ were innocent. Tammy Daybell was a loving wife and mother. Charles Vallow tried to warn everyone, but his voice wasn't enough to stop the storm. It's easy to look at this case and feel anger, but it's also a sobering reminder of how manipulation and blind faith can spiral into tragedy. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into the Lori Vallow-Daybell Saga. If this case moved you as much as it moved me, take a moment to share this episode, subscribe for more true crime stories, and leave your thoughts in the comments or reviews. And remember, sometimes the darkest monsters aren't in the shadows, and they're standing right in front of us.